will feed demo 1, group 2 will feed demo 2, and so on throughout the projects. I also want to note that in each of the groups of projects, there are multiple material and process combinations, as well as multiple suppliers being funded for each project. Before moving on, I mentioned the LIMS edge device as the collection point of the process being collected, and wanted to provide a few more points on this. So this is what the LIMS looks like on the floor, and I think you guys can see my cursor here. So the LIMS device is here, attached to the wall, pretty small piece of equipment here. And it doesn't take a lot of space. Actual installation of the edge device can take as little as 15 to 30 minutes. And once it is installed, all process data, sensor data, and machine tool data is easily accessible and usable by operators with no programming training required. Here are some dashboards created from the LIMS. So users can create their own dashboards. This is an example of some dashboards created for an HP multi-jet fusion machine. Multiple people can be connected to the LIMS system, and this pulls the information that will be delivered to the AMIP platform. There's no license for the software, and once the AMNOW project is complete, this box belongs to the supplier to have in their facility for their use. And finally, you will be able to generate a report. So the supplier can look at the report, review all of the data, and only then will you send the report up to AMIP, which is a secure GovCloud. So you are in complete control of what is being reported up to the AMIP platform. Switching gears now, I'd like to talk about the use cases on this program. During the AMNOW program, we will utilize 19 Army relevant use cases. Instead of just picking parts that are geometrically challenging, material challenging, or process challenging, we tried to combine all of these aspects so we could begin addressing specific problems that existed within the current interests of the Army on transition parts. This is how we selected our use cases for the program. In addition to exercising the supply chain and demonstrating the digital connectivity, we are now forcing the AMNOW team to finish process specifications, material specifications, and overall TDP packages. We are reducing the risk towards qualification and certification for these parts and parts like these by using a very disciplined coupon test plan. We are conducting inspection and testing to validate the component requirements are met. Not only are we doing this to show we can digitally capture the data, but we are also capturing coupons that can be handed off to the qualification and certification personnel. So to kind of real quick cover, what use cases we are utilizing in the AMNOW program. So we're covering 4 AM processes across 7 different materials. Here is the list. So for laser powder bed fusion, we have nylon 17.4 pH, aluminum tensile magnesium 316L, and high strength aluminum, which we're looking at 7A77 or scalmalloy. For material extrusion, we have PEI, multi-jet fusion, nylon, and binder jet 4130. And at the bottom shows some of the use cases that we are utilizing. So we have some levers, some fuel elbows, wave guides, helmet clips, weight and balance tools. So a variety of Army relevant use cases that we're utilizing on this program. So to exercise the supply chain and elevate their processes, we are incrementally increasing the complexity of the projects. And that's why we have these different types of groups program. So to do this, we are ranking the parts that we identify based on category and complexity. So category defines the use case criticality initially defined in AMNOW Phase 0, which impacts TDP definition, post-processing, inspection, and data capture. For the AMNOW Phase 1 program, the category of components we're using ranges from D to B. So those 3 categories in that table. For this program, we're not going to be utilizing any A category parts because it is highly unlikely that small to medium manufacturers will be producing these parts in the near future. We believe category A will stay within the confines of the major OEMs due to the mission critical nature of these parts. And then the next table to the right is complexity. So this displays the complexity of part build for each project as defined by the AMNOW team. As shown in this table, the part increases in complexity as the geometric complexity increases and post-processing steps are also added. So not only are we increasing the complexity of the parts as we go through the projects, but we are also increasing the complexity of the projects in a couple other areas. So for example, supply chain breadth, which you see on the left, this describes the growth of the supply chain in terms of the complexity of the build and post-process steps. So for the beginning projects, we will be capturing, we'll be doing part removal, thermal processing, abrasive finishing. And then as the projects continue, we will start to add more steps such as paint, chemical polishing and finishing, shot peening, machining, NDT, dimensional inspection, and mechanical testing and micrographic inspection. So that's how our kind of projects increase with complexity in terms of, what build and post-process steps will be executed. And then on the kind of data side, so our AMIP data collection on the right, this will also increase throughout the projects. So we will start with TDP data, and then we'll continue to add data such as material, pre-build data, the actual build data, post-process data, and inspection data. So as these aspects of the projects are increasing in complexity, obviously the part complexity is also increasing. So we got all this going, and that's why we have those different groups of the projects throughout the program to kind of continue to add that complexity. So I wanted to provide now a summary of the project opportunities we have for suppliers under this program. So to kind of summarize it, we have currently completed 9 individual participant integration projects. We currently have 23 projects that are under contract across a variety of processes and materials. And we have an estimated 48 upcoming project opportunities. So if you are a small to medium supplier and interested in participating in one of these projects, the first step to complete is our AMNOW online supplier capability form. This form takes 5 to 10 minutes to fill out and will help us understand your manufacturing capabilities. That way we can match you up with upcoming project opportunities. Because like I said, we have specific processes and materials throughout, so we will find what opportunities match with you, and then you'll be added to our upcoming RFP list so you can receive those solicitations. So the website's on this slide to fill out this survey. It's amnow.ncdmm.org, so please fill that out and you'll be added to our database. So now I kind of finished the overall overview of the program. I want to now dig a little bit deeper into the impacts the program is making, especially in the digital AM industry. So as part of the sourcing piece of the digital thread, we started with contracting. So we are actually exercising the supply chain by going through terms and conditions and negotiations that a DoD contract requires. So a lot of our supply chain participants have never done this before. So we actually contracted an expert to help navigate the contract flowdowns as written in a typical contract and make them understandable to small businesses. And we are addressing these gaps by also providing supplier support, such as webinars to the small and medium manufacturers. And we can definitely get into more of this detail later with Stephanie and all of the great webinars the Youngstown Business Incubator is putting on. But more importantly, we are actually taking the industry to the next level by adding digital process monitoring and reporting as an integral part of this contracting process. So this diagram reflects a typical system. We have the cloud application AMIP, which is to the left in the little blue cloud, which is our secure Gov cloud space. And then we have the manufacturer's facility represented in the box to the right. So the operations report description and production process description will come down from the AMIP cloud to the supplier. An operations report gets developed from the data that was collected through the edge device, from the printers and post-processing equipment, and then the operations report gets uploaded to the AMIP cloud for the government to review. So we are showing the government how to exercise a contract with respect to this digital deliverable. We are impacting the industry in a contract realm. We also identified there is a cultural barrier with embracing the technology centered around connectivity and data. So in addressing the cultural barrier, we discovered that the operational process monitoring is essentially a precursor to the fabrication process monitoring. It is easier for the manufacturer to provide data such as build time or shop humidity, build sequence ID. So we started with this operational process monitoring data to bridge that cultural barrier. Then it's kind of an evolution to the fabrication process monitoring. This is how we will slowly break down this cultural barrier. So we are demonstrating the benefits and value of a digitally connected supply chain to the manufacturers. We are also empowering the manufacturer to control the distribution of their digital information. There is all kinds of data in the manufacturer's database, which will be for internal company use only. The manufacturer controls the sending of their information. The manufacturer reviews and confirms what is in the operations report before being sent. There will be no competitively sensitive data sent in the report. So we are addressing the reluctant, hesitant, and concern head-on in the AMNOW program. So over, the next 2 years, we hope our open standards-based architecture makes an impact for the Army supply chain. So now I just kind of want to summarize the deliverables related to AM technology advancement that we'll be delivering on the AMNOW program. So first, a regional AM digital supply chain database and capabilities visualization tool will be developed and available to the U.S. Army. Second, the Advanced Manufacturing Intelligence Platform, AMIP, will securely link the regional supply chain participants to a cloud repository representing the future Army or OEM point of interface. So not only will the digital connection be secure, but an open standards digital thread architecture will be demonstrated and validated. So this is a scalable technology that eliminates proprietary software licensing chokeholds and encourages innovation and competition. Third deliverable, we will have over 19 different parts that will be manufactured using 4 different AM processes, incorporating 7 different materials with increasing levels of post-processing requirements. Next, a definition of baseline operational, which includes our statement of works that we're developing, as well as our fabrication processes, such as our technical data packages and the associated material, process, and test specs that we're developing. So we're defining a baseline of these needed to build the confidence in a repeatable quality across a spectrum of a part, material, and process. We will also be delivering a body of knowledge linking the results of the operational and build process information with the resulting quality for a series of the Army relevant parts. So we will be testing and inspecting these parts. We know the condition of the part, and we know the process data that was collected during the build of the part. So we are creating this body of knowledge linking those. People can understand the relationship between the process information and the result of the part. And we are creating a system to collect all of this information. And last, through all these deliverables, we are creating a scalable platform capable of connecting the United States industrial base of small and medium manufacturers to the U.S. Army and DoD OEMs. So the AMNOW program, demonstrates a cybersecure method of transferring technical information and manufacturing process data to the digital thread for the Army. I kind of wanted to wrap up this presentation by hitting on the key aspects of how we are protecting your data through this program. So first, the AMNOW program has established a secure data repository in Azure GovCloud to facilitate its demonstration of the AMIP capabilities. So AMIP securely transmits all required data and information associated with the solicitation and bidding process from the secure zone to the suppliers, including the TDPs, the statement of works, part specifications, process specifications, material specifications. So AMIP secures all of the information sent to and from the cloud. Second, standards-based IoT edge devices, so the LIMS box in this specific case, call a local tokenization routine to convert sensitive data to a tokenized data. So the AMNOW program offers a way for small and medium manufacturers to connect to the digital supply chain while still protecting sensitive information. All data is encrypted. Third, the AMNOW program's AMIP system combines not only tokenization and encryption. So we have tokenization and encryption for this kind of two-layered approach to protect sensitive data. And so in this graphic at the bottom, you can see that the data moving to and from the cloud has tokenization and TLS 1.2 encryption, and the data stored in the cloud has hardware encryption. Also, the AMNOW program facilitates an air-gap configuration for highly classified and/or sensitive manufacturing cells. So, at the beginning, I talked about the different project stages where we're integrating the suppliers with these LIMS boxes. The goal is to get them fully integrated, but, sometimes there's going to be specific cases where an air-gapped manufacturing floor is still required to absolutely guarantee security. So AMIP does not require digital connectivity between the manufacturing floor and the cloud to perform this, the contractually obligated process data transfer. So data transmission to the cloud can be accomplished by, hand carrying the data to a local AMIP application outside of the manufacturing floor. So in the air gap scenario, all automated services still can exist, but connectivity stops at the edge of the floor. In the last 2 points, we have suppliers will log into AMIP web app using FIDO authentication to view and use data limited to only the functionality provided to them by the AMIP platform. So suppliers will use FIDO, and then the Army will log into AMIP using the CAC authorization to view and use data as well. So in summary, we are using restricted communication channels, PCI level encryption, and tokenization. And most importantly, AMIP only moves data when the user approves it to be moved. So I want you guys to really understand that the end user has full control to inspect and edit the data elements prior to submittal. So with that, kind of after that big summary of the AMNOW program, I'd now like to bring my special guest up to the stage. So Stephanie Gaffney with the Youngstown Business Incubator, who is an AMNOW program partner, and they are specifically focused on the supplier development aspect of the program. We would now love to kind of make this an open discussion and answer any questions you may have. And also, you know, we can get deeper into some of these bullets listed if anyone's interested now that we have Stephanie on, in terms of, you know, what supply chain gaps we've seen, the development activities we're doing, and the impact we're making to those small and medium manufacturers. So with that, I will kind of pause and go to my Q&A and see what kind of questions we have. And Stephanie, feel free to jump in and start talking.
Sure. We do have a couple questions in here, Ashley, and before we do any fireside chat, I'd like to address our audience's questions first. So the one that's in here says, are there any plans to expand to more processes and or materials throughout the AMNOW program?
Great question. So at the very beginning of the program, utilizing the input from the Army, we locked down what processes were relevant to the Army and what materials they were really interested in. So we locked that down probably at the beginning of May last year, and I don't really see any wiggle room for that. Our processes are definitely locked down. We might change materials here and there, very slim, depending on, you know, if we're looking at an HP multi-jet fusion machine or a laser powder bed fusion machine for polymer. You know, we have that listed as nylon. We might go to glass reinforced or, you know, stuff like that. But other than that, those materials and processes are pretty much locked.
So we have someone that wants to know, what does the process look like after filling out the supplier capability of form, assuming the company qualifies as capable? So what does that look like when the RFP is released?
That is a great question, and I have done a webinar on that entire thing. So it's, which is a great point. Before I forget, let me just tell everyone, there is an AMNOW website that has all of our past webinars. There's all kinds of resources, so take a look. Some of these questions can be fully addressed in those resources as well. But to that question, so once you fill out that capability, we have a variety of projects coming up. Say you have a aluminum laser powder bed fusion machine, and we have a metal project coming up. Your company name will be put into a table matching that process and material with your capability. So we kind of just make a new table for each project, which each project has a specific part with a specific process and material. We pull those suppliers that match. You all are put in there. Usually beforehand, we like to reach out to the supplier, just let you know this RFP will be coming. Take a look at our resource page, understand the contracting portion, because you do have to submit a proposal. So this is a little bit different than, you know, an RFQ, which you're just submitting a quote. Because this is government, we're really working with you to develop those proposal aspects. We have a contracting consultant on our team as well. This is all about developing the supply chain. So we will work with you to help you understand how to submit those proposals. So you'll get sent an RFP. Usually there's 3 weeks to respond. Again, because it's not competitive, we will work with you through that proposal submission deadline. So if you have a question on the TDP that was sent, if you have a question on the statement of work, we'll set up a call with you to answer those questions so you can make a proposal. And then we usually have negotiations with you and award with you. So it's a pretty simple kind of path forward. We do have a webinar specifically on that process that goes into all the different opportunities. But before I continue going on that, I'll pause there because there are, I'm sure there's other questions, but hopefully that answered the individual's question. And please, if anyone has any additional questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Stephanie, and we could definitely take a lot of these questions offline as well.
So we do have another one in regards to the DoD contracting. Are you helping your suppliers work through, the question doesn't make complete sense, but they're basically asking if we're helping guide them through the new CMMC process that is out now by the DoD. And I can try and tackle that. We are not walking you through that certification process, but we are offering webinars on cybersecurity. We have experts here that are doing those types of webinars, answering those questions and helping the companies get geared up and ready to apply for that.
Yeah, and kind of touching back on CMMC, the system that we provide exceeds all of the CMC requirements where applicable. So just wanted to throw that in there as well. And then there's another point I wanted to make. But in terms of the entire kind of contracting process, we are assisting where needed. Some of these parts that we have are ITAR or export controlled. So we are helping the suppliers go through the DTIC registration if needed. So we help them through that as well. If it requires a export control kind of, if the part is export control. So there's a whole bunch of different things we are providing to the suppliers based on the specific project.
We do have another question on here. It says, does this a program to apply to machine CapEx purchases, or is it meant for Service Bureau contract manufacturing? So I can tackle that one. This is not meant for CapEx expenditures for the small to medium businesses. This is meant to give these small to medium businesses opportunities to bid on work with the Army, help them develop their core capabilities on doing government work, and eventually have one of these parts come back. That's not a demonstration, that's a full out production order. So it would be more on the lines of what you're referring to as contract manufacturing.
Yeah, and just real quick, just thinking about, I talked about additive manufacturing a lot. Just want everyone to know, we do have, obviously we're contracting with people who are producing parts through additive manufacturing, but we're also looking for post-processing, pieces of the AM supply chain. So whether you're a machine shop or you're doing testing, we're also wanting those capabilities as well. So if you have those capabilities, please feel free to fill out our survey.
So we have an additional question. It says, where will the RFPs be published? Will it be posted on SAM? So I don't know if you want to go back and explain that part of it again.
Great question. And also it kind of leads me to another thing I wanted to bring up. So eventually our AMIT platform, which our go live date for our AMIT platform is June 2021. So eventually our RFPs will be published through that platform. Right now you are receiving an email from me that'll have the solicitation documents in there. So it's a one-on-one email. So whoever fills out that survey and lists the email, that is who will be receiving the RFP until otherwise noted if there's a different contact. So Right now, it's an email. In the future, it will go through our AMIT portal, and the same goes for the survey. So right now, the survey, like I said, to understand your supplier capabilities, you'll go to that link to fill it out. But in the future, in our AMIT portal, you'll go in there, you'll register your company, and that is where you will provide your capabilities and be matched to upcoming projects. So that will all transition in June.
Well, thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you so much, Stephanie.